The slickest way in the world to lie is to tell the right amount of truth at the right time and then shut up. Robert A. Heinlein. Welcome back to the Dojo, the series where I teach men the necessary skills to identify and protect themselves from blue-pilled cuck and feminist threats. Before we start today's lesson, it's important to revisit my rule for relationships. Too many people wrongly believe the default setting in a relationship should be to listen and believe. It's not. It should be to neither trust nor distrust, then reconcile and analyze her words and actions over time to determine her trustworthiness and investment. Never invest in a relationship any more than she invests in return. If you define the relationship beyond the actual level of investment you're receiving, you'll set yourself up to be taken advantage of. It's important to realize the relationship is over when her investment stops, not when you part ways. Now, with that out of the way, today's lesson has started. The goal of this 3-part mini-series is to provide men who are still interested in romantic involvement with women a primer to protect themselves from a woman's hypergamy and the feminist indoctrination that's caused female hypergamy to fall out of balance. For those who don't know, hypergamy is defined by the Urban Dictionary as hypergamy is a savage natural instinct that finds social acceptance when many other such instincts, such as polygamy, do not. The evolutionary psychology theory of the instinctual desire of humans of the female sex to discard a current mate when the opportunity arises to latch onto a subsequent mate of higher status due to the hindbrain impetus to find a male with the best ability to provide for her own offspring, already spawned or yet to be spawned, regardless of investments and commitments made to a current mate. As societal impediments, both economic and cultural, to the rescission of binding monogamous relationships deteriorate, the validity of this theory is being rediscovered to the chagrin of men in the trenches and to the delight of the new social engineers up in the towers. Put another way, as feminism's continuous full-spectrum war on men, marriage, and family values gained and continues to receive social acceptance, hypergamy has become increasingly prevalent, and to men with red-pilled wisdom, it's become the societal norm. In addition to the prior definition of hypergamy, I would also add the following addendum that a hypergamous woman who's considering monkey branching doesn't require the new high-status man to meet all 3 high-status requirements, which generally are social standing, financial security, and the best genetics. The new high-status man only needs one of these requirements for the hypergamous woman to monkey branch to him. This is why red pill wisdom often refers to the alpha fucks, beta bucks dichotomy. In other words, a hypergamous woman may monkey branch to another man, often multiple men over time, without ever leaving the man she's currently maintaining a long-term committed relationship with, if he only meets 1 or 2 of these criteria rather than all 3. This is why my book, The Feminist Lie, cites the U.S. paternity fraud rate as 30%. More than a few American husbands are raising children that aren't their own. More importantly, does your woman ever go out to ladies' night? Does it happen once a month around the same time? Most likely, she's ovulating, and according to studies, this is the time she's most likely to cheat. Which brings me to the main focus of this lesson, teaching men in committed relationships what to look for to determine if your woman is acting on her hypergamy and cheating. The first and most important thing to look for is whether or not the woman is compartmentalizing your relationship. If she is, you should be asking yourself why. What do I mean by compartmentalizing? Well, specifically, it's when the woman separates and isolates different parts of her life apart from one another. While I don't like to use Wikipedia, in this case, they do provide a decent definition as follows. Compartmentalization is a subconscious psychological defense mechanism used to avoid cognitive dissonance or the mental discomfort and anxiety caused by a person's having conflicting values, cognitions, emotions, beliefs, etc. within themselves. Compartmentalization allows these conflicting ideas to coexist by inhibiting direct or explicit acknowledgement and interaction between separate compartmentalized self states. Let me provide an example. Have you ever noticed that when asked about work, hypergamous women will respond with platitudes or overly general answers? Hey honey, how was work? Her response? Fine, or long, or tiring. Then, because you're truly interested in how her day was, and you ask probing questions as to why or what specifically happened to make it fine, long, or tiring, in response, she gets agitated, dismissive, or maybe even defensive. When she does this, she is compartmentalizing, isolating her work from you, and is upset that you're trying to get out of the compartment she put you in. Further, what about if she goes grocery shopping or has to run errands in air quotes? Is she gone for hours and cannot adequately account for where she was? Then when you ask about the contradictions, does she get upset? Or the classic, going to visit her mom. When you ask about what she and her mom did together, the response is something like, we just hung out. If you ask any questions about the details of her shopping trip, errands, or visits to her mom, she becomes agitated. This is because whatever she's doing, she's compartmentalizing to do it. Now, compartmentalizing isn't the only sign you should be looking for. The second part of this two-part symptom of cheating is her sudden lack of interest in you intellectually, emotionally, and most importantly, intimately. Oftentimes, when she becomes distant, you won't notice it immediately. She'll often gently and quietly back away from the relationship to create distance, either by becoming hypersensitive and instigating arguments, or by becoming busy in air quotes. As a side note, women who cheat will often instigate arguments or criticize you for things she herself is actually guilty of. This is known as projection and is a form of gaslighting, which is a form of emotional abuse. Hypergamous women are so good at gaslighting that often most men don't recognize it until they've already suffered the negative emotional consequences of this often long-term emotional abuse. This is even true for red-pilled alpha men. So, the takeaway is this. If your woman is distant when you're together, like she's constantly on her phone Snapchatting, texting, or otherwise communicating with others when she should be investing her time in you, and she's keeping you in the dark about her activities outside your presence, well, she may very well be getting the bukkake chokeslam from somebody else. And if you catch her cheating once, know that she's done it at least 3 times. This is my 3-to-1 rule. If you catch them lying once, they've lied at least 3 times. You just haven't discovered the other 2 yet. Also, when it comes to hypergamous women, every woman is a slut if you catch her on the right day. Thanks to feminism's creation and maintaining of a promiscuity culture and lionizing promiscuous women with slut walks while constantly promoting the destruction of men, marriage, and family relationships, hypergamous women are now the rule, not the exception. So with that in mind, it's important to remember the last part of my rule for relationships. It's important to realize the relationship is over when her investment stops, not when you part ways. Also, and this is important, one of the top 3 reasons, according to a 9-year peer-reviewed study, that women lie about being raped is because they were caught cheating. Therefore, if your woman is isolating you from other parts and people in her life while being emotionally, intellectually, and intimately distant with you, be very careful if you catch her in a lie, because she may try to destroy your life with a false accusation if you confront her. It's often better to just allow things to stay the same and end the relationship with her. Tell her that you've grown apart and that it's time to move on. You won't be lying. If she asks for more details, just tell her that because the 2 of you have become distant and no longer share your lives together, it's time to move on. It's a form of soft ghosting that will potentially keep things relatively peaceful. Finally, I know that for many men, boycotting relationships with women is not an option. And to this group of men, I say this. If the woman you're interested in is unwilling to involve you in every aspect of her life while being transparent and open without you prodding her with 20 questions, she's compartmentalizing and definitely not worth the commitment, cohabitation, and certainly not the marriage. No matter how good the sex is, just move on, because there's a good chance that she's cheated on others and will do the same to you. This concludes today's lesson. Thank you for coming to the dojo. If you've enjoyed this video, found it educational or insightful, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel, both on YouTube and on Bitchute.com. And don't forget to hit the bell so that hopefully you'll be notified when I upload new content. However, the best way to ensure you don't miss any of my content is to periodically check my channel. You can also follow me at misandrytoday.com, gab.ai, minds.com, as well as support my work through Patreon. And don't forget to check out my sponsor, The Dollhouse. In case I'm targeted by YouTube, I mirror all my content on bitchute.com. All the links are in the description. I'm DDJ, and this has been your dose of misandry today.